Welcome to this explainer. Most of us look up at the night sky and see this beautiful, glowing, but ultimately kind of passive rock just floating there. Well, today we're going to completely flip that perspective. We're looking at how that supposedly passive moon is actually a vital planetary engine, because without it, the Earth as we know it simply would not exist.
Okay, let's dive into a really simple but honestly pretty terrifying scenario. Imagine stepping outside tonight, looking up, and seeing absolute sensory depriving darkness. If the moon simply vanished, or better yet, if it had never even formed from that violent planetary collision billions of years ago, what would our world actually look like? Well, without the moon, the sheer terrifying emptiness of our night sky would really just be the opening scene to a wildly chaotic, completely unfamiliar Earth. The darkness would be absolute, save for just the faint glimmer of distant stars. But honestly, a darker sky would literally be the least of our worries, because the sheer physical mechanics of our planet would be thrown into absolute overdrive. Section 1. A fast and chaotic Earth. Let's just strip the moon away entirely for a second to see just how violently fast and unstable our home would get. Without the moon's gentle gravitational braking over billions of years, our world would be a frantic blur. I mean, imagine trying to get a full night's sleep or, commute to work in a 4-hour day. Because billions of years ago, when the Earth was young, our planet spun incredibly fast, completing a full rotation in as little as 4 to 10 hours. The moon's gravity has basically acted as a giant gentle brake, pulling on our oceans and land masses and slowly decelerating our spin to the 24-hour days we enjoy right now. Without it, the weather systems driven by that kind of rapid rotation would generate literal hurricane-force winds on a daily basis. And then there's this number. Our fragile 23.5-degree axial tilt is the magical number behind our stable, predictable seasons, and it's the moon that holds this tilt steady. Without our satellite, Earth would wobble wildly over thousands of years, kind of like a spinning top right as it's losing its momentum. Our axis could shift anywhere from 0 to 45, or even 85 degrees. Practically speaking, this means some places on the planet would hardly ever see the sun, while others would have the sun directly overhead, just baking the surface for months on end. It would plunge us into apocalyptic, totally chaotic seasons. But the moon's influence isn't just on the surface, right? It actually penetrates deep into the Earth. The moon's gravitational forces physically knead and deform Earth's mantle. This tidal friction helps power our geodynamo, which is that swirling liquid iron core, with an astounding 3,700 billion watts of energy. This dynamo generates the Earth's magnetic field, which is exactly what shields our atmosphere and every living thing on it from deadly solar radiation. So the moon is literally helping to keep our planetary force field active. Section 2. The rhythms of the ocean. Let's move to the oceans for a second and see how this all builds into the fundamental rhythm of life on Earth. Moving on to Section 3, Life in the Dark. Now let's descend from planetary physics to the intimate biological moments that rely entirely on lunar light, because life didn't just evolve alongside the moon's gravity, it evolved alongside its glow. Global biology is deeply, deeply tied to the moon. In the Serengeti, the eternal dance between predator and prey is dictated by lunar phases. African buffaloes herd tightly when the moon wanes, seeking safety in the darkness, while lions actually hunt most successfully on the darkest nights. The moon dictates when certain species of scorpions literally glow in the dark, when sea turtles come ashore to nest, and it even triggers massive, synchronized coral reef spawning. Even migratory birds like European nightjars time their 3-month intercontinental flights specifically to begin 10 days after a full moon, using that extra light to hunt insects more efficiently. And it goes right down to the bugs. Even the escape path of a tiny beetle in the dirt is dictated by our cosmos. African dung beetles use moonlight as a literal celestial compass. In the moonlight, they roll their food away in a perfect straight line to escape predators. But under a completely dark, moonless sky, they just roll in circles, completely confused. The connection goes even deeper in the open ocean. Get this, lunar cycles literally dictate the physical growth rings, they're called otoliths, inside the ear structures of baby reef fish in New Zealand. These fish actually grow faster on moonlit nights because they can see to hunt plankton, but they actively avoid returning to their home reefs during a full moon, so they aren't easily spotted by predators. It's fascinating. It proves the moon is this biological trigger encoded right into the DNA of life on Earth, not just some rock in the sky. Section 4. Timekeeping without the moon. Okay, let's pivot to our own species for a bit. How would human civilization have evolved without a glowing, phase-shifting orb to track time? Just think about the very word month. It stems directly from the word moon. Without the clear 28-day cycle of lunar phases, early humans would have had an incredibly difficult time inventing calendars. Without months, early agriculture, planting cycles, and navigation would have had to rely entirely on the incredibly daunting, much more complex tracking of distant, faint stars, or observing multi-year planetary orbits like Venus or Jupiter.
So the moon seamlessly bridged a massive gap in early human cognition. By acting as a huge, reliable, and highly visible clock in the sky, it gave early human tribes a rock-solid way to coordinate hunting, track pregnancies, and know exactly when to plant seeds before lethal winter arrived. Without it, the dawn of human civilization and agriculture would have been severely, severely delayed. Which brings us to Section 5, a habitable world.
Finally, let's look at the moon not just as our environmental stabilizer, but as an ancient memory bank. See, Earth is highly active. Our tectonic plates, volcanoes, and weather basically act as a giant geological eraser, destroying the oldest rocks on our planet over time. But the moon? It's geologically dead. Its cratered surface is a pristine 4-billion-year-old time capsule. By studying the moon's craters, scientists discovered the late heavy bombardment, which was this intense period when asteroids rained down on the early solar system. It's also helped us understand how comets delivered the very water that fills our oceans today. So without the moon, our own origins would be a total mystery.
We have to end on this really provocative thought. Would intelligent life have ever even evolved? Would we even be here to ask these questions if the moon didn't exist? A moonless Earth means 4-hour days, wild hurricane winds, apocalyptic shifts in climate, a weaker magnetic field, and oceans with stagnant tides. The moon isn't just a beautiful object to look at, it is the silent, gravitational guardian that tamed a violent Earth and ultimately made it a habitable home for all of us. Definitely something to think about the next time you look up at the night sky.